Welcome to this explainer. Today, we are stepping into an absolute high-stakes academic masterclass. We are going to completely unpack the exact strategies, the underlying cognitive frameworks, and the critical examiner insights required to absolutely master the preparation of ledger accounts for the Cambridge AS and A-Level Accounting 9706 syllabus. If you want to know exactly how to dissect those notoriously complex questions, perfectly allocate your time, and secure top-tier marks without burning out halfway through the paper, you are exactly in the right place. Grab your notebook because we are diving deep into the examiner's mind today. Let's start with a massive, unavoidable number that should grab your attention right out of the gate. 15%. Did you know the preparation of ledger accounts makes up approximately 15% of the total marks in Paper 2? Think about that. This isn't just some minor passing topic that you can afford to gloss over or cram the night before. It is a foundational pillar of the entire syllabus. We're talking about the high tariff questions, those massive 9 to 15 mark beasts that can literally make or break your final grade. Mastering this single area gives you an incredible, almost unfair advantage before you even look at the rest of the exam paper. It's the difference between scraping by and confidently securing an A-star. So, how do we systematically conquer it? Here is our roadmap for today's session. First, we'll cover the core principles. Second, we're unlocking the method mark strategy. Third, we'll establish a procedural framework. Fourth, we'll expose the biggest examiner traps. And finally, we'll build the evaluative mindset.
Section 1. Core Principles, Building the Foundation.
Okay, let's dive into this. Before we calculate a single number, we absolutely have to understand the theoretical architecture. Cambridge examiners are not looking for human calculators. They want dynamic accounting scholars. Let's imagine two types of students for a second. First, you have someone highly technical. Let's call him Alex. Alex memorizes every formula, every T-account layout, but struggles the second a question asks for open-ended evaluation. Then you have Sam. Sam is a creative thinker, great at arguing concepts, but falls apart on structural precision and timing. Top-performing candidates blend both. They don't just memorize, they achieve a connected, conceptual understanding. This means grasping the fundamental principles so deeply that when the examiner throws a completely unfamiliar, weird business scenario at you, which they will, you can effortlessly transfer your knowledge to solve it. It's all about understanding the command words. The syllabus demands you know the difference between analyze and evaluate and explain versus to what extent. You have to know the why behind the what.
Building that unshakable understanding rests on three absolute essentials. First, precise definitions. You can't be vague. Second, causal relationships. You need to understand how one transaction directly and immediately affects another part of the ledger. Third, and this is huge, cross-topic integration. In fact, principal examiner reports consistently highlight that candidates who reference cross-topic connections within these accounts achieve significantly higher marks. For instance, how does an adjustment in your ledger account for depreciation cascade down into your income statement and completely alter your statement of financial position? You literally have to see the entire accounting ecosystem working as one living, breathing entity. Section 2. The Method Mark Strategy. Unlocking marks. Now we are getting into the hidden grading mechanics of the exam, the stuff they don't explicitly teach you in the textbook. Listen closely because this will save you when you hit a wall during the test. The analytical process is just as important as your final answer. Examiners use what's called the method mark strategy, heavily utilizing the own figure rule. They award marks for clear working, systematic analysis, and logical progression. Imagine you make a silly minor arithmetic error right in the first step of a 15-mark ledger question. If you panic and give up, you get 0. But if your subsequent accounting logic, your postings, and your balancing are completely correct based on that initial flawed figure, the examiner will actually award you a massive portion of the remaining marks. They're testing your accounting mechanics, not just your ability to press buttons on a calculator.
But that really begs the question, right? If marks are literally just sitting there, waiting to be claimed, simply for showing your work and maintaining your structure, why do so many students miss out on them year after year? Why is multi-stage analysis so incredibly hard in an exam setting? Well, before we solve the absolute hardest part of this problem, I'm going to pause our session right here for a quick, crucial reminder. If you want to consistently crush your Cambridge exams, you need consistent strategy. Take 1 second right now to subscribe to the channel Ace the Exams IGCSE and A-Levels at the handle @acetheexam_IGCSE. Make sure you enable all notifications so you never miss our weekly Cambridge Breakthrough Strategies. All right. Back to the question. The reason students fail here is cognitive overload. When faced with a massive wall of complex data, they lack a systematic processing sequence. They panic, they rush to guess a final number, and they leave absolutely zero evidence of their reasoning.
Section 3, the procedural framework, systematic sequence.
To combat that panic, this is your fail-safe 5-step procedural framework to deconstruct complex data without getting overwhelmed. Step 1, identify the key elements from the stimulus using a 3-step question scan. Highlight the command word, isolate the content knowledge required, and circle the hidden constraints of the prompt. Step 2, apply the relevant principles and select your framework. Step 3, and this is where those beautiful method marks live, execute your analysis systematically with incredibly clear working. Show your steps. Step 4, verify your results. Take a breath and ask, does this number actually make logical sense for this specific business context? And finally, step 5, present your findings.
I really want to pause on that final step, presentation. In ledger accounts, presentation is absolutely not optional. It follows incredibly strict conventions. You must use proper headings. You must use correct terminology like balance brought down instead of just writing B/B. You need appropriate formats, clear dates, precise details, and clear notation. If your mathematical analysis is brilliant but your presentation looks like a messy draft, examiners literally cannot award you those top-tier assessment objective marks. Structure is everything. It's what we call the paragraph balance formula when writing out explanations. Every point needs clear framing. Section 4, examiner warnings, top mistakes. Now that we have our offensive strategy completely locked in, let's look at defensive strategy. We are going to do a quick visual workshop right now. I want you to imagine a poorly written student answer, a classic spot the flaw scenario. The student writes out a perfect textbook definition of a ledger account, but scores a 2 out of 10. Why? This brilliantly illustrates the ultimate insider data from principal examiners, vague generic answers versus context-specific details. Writing out a rote-memorized textbook definition will get you nowhere on high-tariff questions. You must tie the accounting theory directly to the specific business mentioned in the prompt. If the prompt is about a struggling manufacturing business, your answer better talk about inventory, raw materials, and factory overheads, not just generic cash flow. Let's rapid-fire the top 3 brutal mistakes pulled straight from actual examiner reports so you can mentally flag these for exam day. Trap number 1, answers are way too vague. Examiners want specific, technical, deeply analytical details. Trap number 2, students completely forget to double-check their format and presentation under time pressure, bleeding easy marks that they actually knew how to get. And trap number 3, the most lethal trap of all, answers are simply not specific to the context given in the stimulus material. If you write absolutely nothing else down today, please remember this classic examiner alert. Always link every point to the given scenario. I cannot stress this enough. If an insight, an explanation, or a strategic recommendation is not directly, explicitly linked to the context of the business and the question, it simply won't earn the mark. It's that simple. You have to bridge the gap between abstract theory and the reality of the business on the page. Section 5, the evaluative mindset, highest level. This is the final piece of the puzzle. This is the secret to unlocking the higher-order assessment objectives, which separates students who just crunch numbers from those who truly understand accounting as a language of business. To hit those top marking bands, you must physically move up the evaluative framework. Level 1 is descriptive. This is assessment objective 1, just repeating facts and basic calculations. Level 2 is analytical, which is assessment objective 2, showing how things connect and applying formulas. But level 3 is evaluative, or assessment objective 3. This demands stepping back, comparing different approaches, dissecting the prompt, and making highly justified recommendations. You have to move way beyond just describing the data. Top-scoring candidates demonstrate this evaluative thinking by actively questioning the assumptions made in the data provided. They consider completely different perspectives and alternative interpretations. Crucially, they identify the limitations of the evidence. For example, they'll write, while the ledger shows strong liquidity, it doesn't account for changing market conditions. What doesn't the ledger tell us? And finally, they use all of this critical analysis to make a completely justified recommendation supported by the exact evidence they just calculated. This is where you deploy your last 5 minutes review checklist to ensure every argument is watertight. If you synthesize this entire masterclass, it comes down to 3 core, memorable pillars. The 3-step question scan to dissect the prompt, the format balance rule to secure your presentation marks, and the last 5 minutes review checklist to ensure your evaluation is context-specific. Apply these frameworks, claim your method marks, and absolutely master your ledger accounts. So I'll leave you with this provocative final thought to use on your next practice paper.
Did you just do the math, or have you rigorously evaluated the alternatives to make a completely justified recommendation? Crushing Cambridge exams requires consistent, relentless strategy. So right now, explicitly hit that subscribe button for Ace the Exam's IGCSE O and A levels at the handle @acetheexam_IGCSE, turn on the notification bell for all our future exam hacks, and drop a comment below with your exact target grade. Let's get to work.